MzeroA Nation, Jason here. Can you see me? In this video, we're talking all about night flying. Maybe we should do this video from the studio instead.
Welcome to the Safer Pilot Challenge. Myself and the MzeroA team had all these grand ambitions of making a night flying video, and then you saw that's why it didn't work that well. Hey, it's day 8 of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. It's better where we can have some light and see each other there as well. I want to talk about night flying with you all today. Before we do that, please make sure you like, subscribe, and check in down below. Are you 8 for 8 on the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge? I sure hope so. If not, if you fell behind, that's okay. Go back, catch up, and then report back. But leave me a comment down below that you are 8 out of 8. Speaking of numbers, I'm gonna break this video into 5 parts here. I want to talk about night flying as it relates to pre-flight, takeoff, en route, arrival, and emergencies. Let me honor your time. Let's dive right into it. I want to talk about what does your night pre-flight look like and some key differences when pre-flighting at night. First off, I know you probably even do this during the day, but you're checking all aircraft lights. Remember, we must have our working position lights as well. But don't ruin your night vision on the pre-flight. Bring a flashlight as you're going through. And I like to slow down when I pre-flight at night. It's easy to rush. I remember I spent a season up in Massachusetts, Bridgewater, Massachusetts, flying out of New Bedford Airport. And I remember in the winter, got dark early, it's dark, it is cold, all you want to do is pre-flight so quickly, go back in the FBO, warm up for a second, and then run right back out and hop in the airplane. You can't rush like that. Go slow when you pre-flight at night. Bring a flashlight. And let me tell you something that's going to sound counterintuitive. Don't bring a red flashlight. I know everyone says, but every aviation flashlight is red. Have you ever held a red flashlight up to a paper sectional chart? It distorts all the colors, and it's not just that, it distorts other colors as well. I personally don't use a red headlamp or anything like that. I'll just get a light, an LED light that can really dim, a white one that can dim really, really low is what I use. And then, by the way, extra batteries. Actually, a smart way to do it is, it's an LED flashlight, mine is, that uses AA batteries. In fact, everything, my handheld backup is AA batteries, my flashlight's AA batteries, and my headset, of course, AA batteries. So I just fly with a lot of one type of battery. Something else to think about here. I'm on the ground reviewing my taxi diagrams. Where am I going to take off? Because a taxi at night can be a little bit challenging sometimes. Spend extra time reading the NOTAMs because we gloss over these NOTAMs so often, but a lot of times VASI or PAPIs aren't working. Well, that's in the NOTAM. So we're working and making sure we're studying all of that. Now let's talk about those eyes at night though before I get into some other things here. Allow your eyes time to adjust. 30 minutes is recommended here for the rods of your eyes to actually adjust. Now the rods are located on the periphery of our eye, and that's going to allow us to use our peripheral vision to spot things, right? How do we scan for traffic at night? We stare at a spot here and let the motion in our periphery really catch it. Now, we also have a night blind spot we need to be aware of as well. So making sure, right, that real center point there, make sure we're watching that. Now, another point, it's not regulatory, it's recommended, but flying at altitude decreases night vision. Did you know the FAA recommends oxygen at altitudes of 5,000 feet and above at night? It recommends it here as well. All right, so we've pre-flighted. We're getting ready now. We've taxied out. We're going to take off here. Am I organized? Do I have everything that I need? By the way, please don't blind other pilots on your taxi or on your takeoff. Know how to turn off your landing light just for a second so you're not blinding other pilots when you're making that turn or in the run-up area, angling right into their hangar or whatever that may be with that. So when you're lining up for takeoff, I want you to look for the same visual cues. Where is centerline? You may get that same kind of ground rush. You may need to dim. What I typically do is I'll dim the flight deck lighting as needed. Make sure I see all my instruments. It's even a different instrument scan when we're dealing with that at night. But expect that ground rush, it's gonna happen, and expect kind of a The beginning of spatial disorientation in a way when you pitch up and all you see is sky. My night takeoffs are on the instruments, honestly. I'm outside, and as soon as I rotate and I lose that last little bit of horizon as I pitch that nose up to climb, I'm managing my airspeed. A beautiful VY climb out, wings nice and level. Again, this is the power. Hopefully you all have your instrument rating or have on the list to earn your instrument rating, because a night takeoff, who's ever felt a little bit of spatial disorientation sneaking in? Now, Enroute, I need you to be aware of your illusions. Now, there's some specific illusions that can occur at night. We'll cover these more in a spatial disorientation video in a few days, but I'm going to introduce them here. The first is false horizon. The clouds are sloping, there's ships out on the sea, there's city lights. It's anything that causes you to believe it's the horizon when, let me tell you, it's not the horizon. Then there's autokinesis. This is some homework I have for you. I want you to go outside at night, and I mean black, dark night, backyard, front yard, doesn't matter, your driveway. I want you to pick a light that's 200-300 yards off, a stationary light. I want you to just stare at it. Now, don't be a weirdo, like creep your neighbors out, but just stare at this light. It's going to start to do this after about 30 to 60 seconds. It's going to start to flicker like this. That's autokinesis. Now imagine you're on a long 10-mile final and you're staring at the runway lights. They're out in the distance and they just start to move. There's NTSB reports of pilots chasing the flickering lights. Autokinesis, that's called. Now there's other things to worry about too. The black hole approach is always intimidating. Vertigo, just the feeling of dizziness or nausea, that can set in. You say, I never get motion sick. Well, night provides different elements sometimes. Motion sickness was something I had to overcome early on in my training. And just when I thought I overcame it, I went night flying and had to relearn it all again in a weird way. Now, you're probably also going to do some night maneuvers. I mentioned the climbs, but don't forget about descents, turns. They all take practice. Use your instruments. And something that I do, and if you do this, I would love for you to do this, but only with an instructor. Unusual attitudes at night. Show of hands, who's ever done it? Unusual attitudes at night will make you a safer pilot, I promise you. But please only practice that with an instructor. Obviously with night flying too comes the fact that you could be tired. I go to bed at 8:30. I'm a real party pooper sometimes. My night flying happens now when the days are so much shorter here. Summertime night flying is always tough when it doesn't get dark till like 9 o'clock for me. All right, let's look at another aspect. Let's look at the arrival now, because spotting an airport at night, who knows what I mean? It can be difficult. And let's talk too. What if you're going into a pilot-controlled, uncontrolled airport with pilot-controlled lighting? Fly towards that airport beacon until the environment comes into view. And even if you don't see it just yet, if the lights are off, one thing I'll do is I'll stare in the area I believe the airport is, click the lights on 7 times, and boom, then you can see. Easy way to spot it. Another way, if you're having trouble spotting it, click the lights, assuming there's no other pilots in the pattern, click the lights down to 3 at a pilot-controlled airport, low, and then click them up to 7 to see that change to confirm you're at the right airport. So that's just something else to watch. And again, we're still focused on our instruments. Some common student pilot errors, a very high approach because you just don't really see or know what's beneath you. You round out transition a little bit too high with that. Wait until your landing light reflects the runway. And this is challenging. If you're a Skyhawk flyer, your landing light could be in the wing, angled in slightly. That makes it tough. Most of our aircraft now mounts it in the cowling. And if it's LED, that's quite nice as well to help. But wait till that landing light reflects the runway. And the paint that they use is reflective as well. So it should be quite easy to spot and confirm. Another thing, you're going to see all the tire marks on that runway. Good idea when you see those tire marks. My gosh, reducing power and rounding out. Still looking down that runway. Still using your peripheral vision to judge spatially, am I left or right, but while looking down center line as well. Night landings are challenging, but they come with good practice and a mastery of day landings for that matter. Let's talk quickly here about night emergencies. It's something I personally don't want to ever deal with here. How do we handle a night emergency? I want to debunk a myth very early on. And unfortunately, people still give this advice. They say, if your engine quits at night, go to the darkest spot, because that'll be your open field. Or it could be water, or it could be a mountain, or it could be, what do you mean go to the darkest? You don't know what it is. If you have an engine failure at night, your only option is to go to the lit area. It's the road, the runway, it's the known. Only go to the knowns. You can't go to the darkest area because you don't know what it is. Unfortunately, landing on a road's not an ideal situation because there's signs and overpasses and power lines and so many things, but this is why at night you'll see we kind of track over airports and kind of fly out of our way, not that straight path sometimes. So you have to think about that. And again, as you're looking for that area, don't forget ABC is an emergency, A is my airspeed, B is my best land area, and C is my checklist. Still troubleshoot here. Get the light out. Don't blind yourself, please. You're about to make the most important landing of your life. Use your light though, check the mags, check the primer, check the mixture. It could be a quick fix. Maybe you bumped something in the dark. Just the other day, I can't make this up, I gave myself a good scare. I was flying in the Cirrus and my headset cable was on the mixture, and I leaned back, and it just was a perfect scenario where it pulled the mixture back and the engine kind of shuddered for a second, and you better believe I jumped right up, looked at my engine instruments, saw I was losing power. I'm thinking, this is it. I looked down and I saw the situation here and solved it as well. So sometimes a little bit of light, that was during the daytime, but a little bit of light can help with that. Use your landing light, by the way, assuming it's not an electrical fire or something, to evaluate and spot terrain. Unfortunately, go around is not an option in that situation, so you gotta be ready for that. What are some of your best night flying tips? I want to hear them down below in the comments section. Also, check in. Don't forget to like and subscribe here. I will see you all tomorrow. In the meantime, go out there and be a light, to use a pun, but I mean it. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember, a good pilot is always learning. See y'all tomorrow. The Private Pilot Blueprint is everything I wish someone would have told me before I started my flight training. How to save time and money through the entire process, how to find a great flight instructor, how to really just maximize everything in your aviation journey. It's the definitive roadmap to beginning that aviation journey. You can check it all out. You can grab your copy by going to privatepilotblueprint.com. Hey everyone, don't forget the MzeroA course prices are going up on February 1st. So head over to the MzeroA store to subscribe now and beat the increase. Existing members lock in their prices for as long as they maintain their subscription.